The root of modern people's lack of happiness is not having their own time. A feeling I believe everyone is familiar with. Do you have such memories? Waking up to an alarm in the morning, then rushing to wash, eat breakfast, and go to work. After work, following a long commute, come home, possibly dealing with various chores. If you are a parent, you also take care of children, help with their homework, and put them to bed. Unknowingly, it becomes late at night. Lying in bed, we enjoy the rare moments of time that belong to ourselves, sometimes even reluctant to sleep. Feeling that you don't have your own time is a form of time poverty, which makes our lives lack a sense of happiness. Welcome to Daily Book Dive. Today, I will be explaining the book Happy Hour by Cassie Holmes, published in April 2023. Although this book is called Happy Hour, before writing it, the author Cassie Holmes, a management professor at the University of California, she also suffered from this feeling of being time poor. As a professor and a mother of a 4-month-old child, her days are extremely busy, every minute racing against time, making her feel very tired, to the point of wanting to quit her job altogether. But before doing so, she wanted to clear up one thing. Would she really be more satisfied with her life if she quit her job and had plenty of leisure time? To figure this out, the author and her team built a database that recorded the daily lives and life satisfaction of tens of thousands of Americans. With this data, she wanted to explore the relationship between a person's average discretionary time and their sense of happiness. This discretionary time refers to the time spent doing what one wants, like relaxing, watching TV, exercising, and walking with family, and does not include necessary tasks like housework, running errands, or medical visits. The results showed that if a person has less than 2 hours of discretionary time per day, their sense of happiness tends to be lower. On the other hand, if the discretionary time exceeds 5 hours, their happiness also decreases. It is evident that being too busy or too idle is not good. Being too busy leads to a distressing feeling of time poverty, while being too idle can lead to a lack of sense of purpose and achievement. Thus, having 2 to 5 hours of free time every day is the happiest state. Therefore, the author realized that quitting her job might not necessarily bring her happiness. Moreover, having 2 hours of discretionary time each day is entirely achievable for her without making such a drastic change as resigning. In fact, for most people, having 2 hours of discretionary time every day is not particularly difficult. It seems that time poverty may be more of a subjective feeling. Excluding the extreme cases of having too much or too little time, the key to gaining more satisfaction in life does not lie in the length of time we have, but in how we use the time available to us. Over the years, the author conducted several studies exploring the relationship between happiness and time and money, consistently finding that regardless of how much time or money one has, those who value time are happier. Therefore, as a business school professor, she shifted her teaching focus from money and profit to happiness and created a course called How to Apply the Science of Happiness in Life Design, earning her the nickname Happiness Professor from her students. In this book, she shares her years of experience teaching the science of happiness, teaching us how to make the most of our time. This book is about time management, but its goal is not to increase productivity, but to enhance happiness. In the following explanation, we will first analyze the concept of time poverty in detail, discuss the relationship between time and happiness, and then talk about how to make full use of time, how to adjust our mindset to handle unavoidable tasks, and how to plan our time with happiness as the goal. The author provides many practical methods in the book, which I will share with you one by one in this explanation. Okay, now let's formally enter into this book. Time poor is a subjective feeling. We just mentioned that time poverty is the feeling that you don't have enough time to complete the things you need to do and want to do. In this statement, there are two subjective parts. One is the feeling, which is your confidence in completing all tasks within the time you have. The other part is what you want to do and what you think you need to do. Let's first analyze the first part. The confidence in completing all tasks within the existing time. Everyone has 24 hours a day, which is an objective fact, but each person's perception of time is subjective. 2 hours might seem long to some people and short to others. Some people are confident they can complete all tasks for the day, while others always feel rushed. Psychologically, this is called self-efficacy, which refers to whether you believe you can effectively complete all tasks. Research shows that when people have stronger self-efficacy, they also believe they have more time. Simply put, enhancing self-efficacy is one way to alleviate the feeling of time poverty. So, what are some ways to enhance self-efficacy? In the book, the author suggests 3 methods. The first method is exercise. Many people have the habit of exercising, but when life gets busy, exercise is the easiest activity for us to drop. The author, because of her busy life, considered whether to cancel her morning run project. However, she ultimately decided to keep her morning run and set her alarm clock 30 minutes earlier. By running in the morning, she can start her day in a busy and excited state. During her run, she feels more confident, believing she can efficiently handle everything for the day. Indeed, exercise is the activity you should not give up. Studies have shown that exercise can effectively enhance a person's self-esteem, not just in terms of their body image, but it also makes you more confident and feel more in control of your life. Therefore, the author's first recommendation is to maintain at least 30 minutes of exercise every day, which not only has health benefits but also makes you feel like you have more time because you at least become the master of your body and time during those 30 minutes. The second method to enhance self-efficacy is helping others. This might sound a bit mystical at first. Why would helping others make me feel like I have more time? When we feel time poor, we often give up time spent on others. The author's team conducted an experiment with over 100 participants, who were randomly assigned 2 tasks. Some had to spend 30 minutes doing something for others before 10 p.m., while others spent those 30 minutes doing something for themselves. Afterwards, the author followed up to see how each person used those 30 minutes and how they felt about their time availability. Among those who spent time on others, some chose to cook dinner for their loved ones, some shoveled snow from their neighbor's porch, and some took care of a friend's pet. Among those who spent time on themselves, some performed elaborate body care, and some watched TV for half an hour. It turned out that those who spent time on others felt they had more time. Later, the author conducted more experiments with stricter standards, and the results were similar. Our intuition might tell us that spending time on ourselves makes us feel more time-rich, but in reality, spending time on others can enhance self-efficacy, perhaps because it makes us feel better about ourselves and more confident. Of course, the precondition is that you volunteer and do not spend too much time. Thus, you might also try this method: take half an hour to call a friend to check on their well-being, or spend a few seconds holding the door open for the person behind you, which not only makes us happier but also makes us feel more time-rich. The third method to enhance self-efficacy is a sense of awe. Awe is a feeling that arises when you encounter something grand. Research has found that a sense of awe can make people feel they have more time because during moments of awe, we feel that nothing can limit us, and the trivial items on our schedule no longer seem important. One common source of awe is nature. When we see magnificent natural landscapes, such as grand mountains and rivers, vast oceans, or dazzling auroras, we naturally feel a sense of awe towards nature, making ordinary troubles seem to disappear. Of course, we don't have the opportunity to travel every day or live in national parks, but we can still try to go outdoors, such as hiking or mountain climbing on weekends, or just taking a walk in a nearby park. Even pausing to appreciate the sunset or occasionally looking up at the moon can make you feel less rushed. Besides nature, a sense of awe can also come from deep connections with others, such as gentle physical contact, a deep conversation, or holding a baby gently. Interpersonal relationships can also help us transcend our own boundaries and connect with others' emotions and thoughts. You can also find a sense of awe in art, attend a concert, or visit an art exhibition. Beautiful art can also give you a self-transcendent experience. This is one of the reasons art exists, to allow us who live in ordinary lives to occasionally transcend the ordinary through others' creativity. Exercise, doing good deeds, and experiencing awe can all enhance our self-efficacy, alleviating our feeling of time poverty. This is one subjective component of our sense of time. Another subjective component is how we decide what we want to do and need to do. In our limited time, we need to make choices about what to do. Thus, what we can do is identify which activities truly bring us joy and which are not worth the time. In the book, the author suggests that we spend 2 weeks tracking our daily activities and feelings. You can create a detailed activity tracking chart, specifying what you are doing every hour of the day, and quantifying the feelings each activity brings you. Through this chart, you might discover that you are wasting too much time on things that are not so important, like scrolling through short videos or playing games. At the same time, you can also find the things that truly make you happy through this chart. Many researchers have used this method, such as Nobel Prize in Economics laureate Daniel Kahneman, author of Thinking Fast and Slow. He led a team in a famous study that tracked the emotional fluctuations of about 900 working women throughout the day. The results showed that people are happiest when they have physical intimacy or interact with friends and family, while the activities that occupy most of our day, like commuting, working, and doing household chores, make people the least happy. However, Kahneman's team only focused on the dimension of happiness. The author reminds us that we also need to pay attention to another dimension, meaning, sometimes happiness is not just about immediate enjoyment. The process of climbing a mountain may be painful, but you can also find joy in it. The process of learning may be painful, but you can gain meaning from it. Thus, we can establish a coordinate axis, with meaning on the x-axis and happiness on the y-axis, allowing us to divide our daily activities into 4 quadrants. The first quadrant is activities that are both happy and meaningful, such as meditation, exercise, socializing, and intimate behaviors. The second quadrant is happy but relatively meaningless activities, such as watching TV and eating. The third quadrant is meaningless and unhappy activities, such as shopping, replying to emails, doing household chores, and commuting. The fourth quadrant is meaningful but unhappy activities, such as working. It is important to note that these results are based on researchers' surveys of certain populations and do not necessarily apply to everyone's division of these 4 quadrants. It is important that you find your own coordinate system and invest more time in activities that are both happy and meaningful. From global research on happiness, we can gain some insights. First, happiness is an active choice. You should do more of what makes you happy. For example, invest more time in close relationships. If you take some time to reflect on the past 2 weeks, you will find that at least once during your happiest moments was spent with someone you care about. Close relationships are a necessary condition for happiness. Having friends does not guarantee you will be happy 100% of the time, but to become happier, you need friends. Another example is deepening the content of social interactions. A key characteristic of deepening close relationships is the continuous escalation of self-disclosure between both parties. While joking around with friends can certainly be relaxing, deep conversations and self-disclosure can make relationships closer and more meaningful. Finally, spend more time outdoors. A study on geographic location investigated the happiness levels of 20,000 Britons and their immediate locations, finding that people are happier outdoors. Unfortunately, modern people spend about 85% of their day indoors. What we can do is try to move some activities outdoors. For example, instead of running in a gym, it's better to run outdoors, which can improve your mood. Besides doing more of what makes you happy, you should also do less of what makes you unhappy. We have 3 innate needs: sociality, autonomy, and feeling capable. If an activity hinders any of these needs, it can make you feel unhappy. For example, we have a need for autonomy. We need to feel a sense of control in life, so we don't like being told what to do by others but want to manage our own time, which is why work and household chores can make us feel unhappy. But the reality is we can't do whatever we want. We have to do some things that don't bring us happiness. So, how do we adjust our mindset to do these unavoidable tasks? How to adjust our mindset to do unavoidable tasks? For this question, the author gives us some suggestions. The first suggestion is to buy time with money, such as outsourcing household chores that you could do yourself. Many people might feel that outsourcing their own doable household chores is a waste of money, but the author points out that this might be because they haven't realized that doing so could allow them to spend the freed up time on more meaningful activities. If you really have spare money to outsource some household chores, it can increase your discretionary time and improve your happiness. The author's second suggestion is to bundle happiness, which means to pair activities you don't like with some you do like, making it less painful to do the disliked activities. If you have to spend a lot of time commuting every day, you can use this time to listen to books or podcasts, or bring a book on the subway. Many people do this now, such as I guess you, who might be on your commute right now. If you live close to your company, you can walk or bike to work, and your commuting time can also be bundled with the joy of outdoor exercise. Sometimes, walking home after work while listening to music can also be enjoyable. Similarly, when doing household chores, you can turn on the stereo and listen to music while folding clothes, or call a friend for a chat. Bundling happiness is a very useful practice. Time spent on household chores and commuting should not be wasted. With a little extra thought, you can turn these seemingly wasted times into enjoyable experiences. The third suggestion is job crafting. It's important to know that for many people, one of the activities that doesn't bring happiness but has to be done is work, and many people don't like their jobs. But the reality is work occupies a large part of our lives, so we need to find ways to make work time happier. What can we do? There is no perfect job, but if you can align your job with your values, strengths, or hobbies, you will be more motivated, and your overall satisfaction with work and life will also increase. So, one question you need to think about is why you are doing your current job. Here we're talking about work in a broad sense, which is the area where you invest your time, energy, and talent. If your answer is to make money, the author suggests finding a higher-level goal. Studies have surveyed employees from different professions, ranks, and income levels and found that those who view making money as their primary goal have lower overall satisfaction with work and life. Meaning and happiness are closely linked, so we need to find a meaning for our work, such as creating, learning, or helping others. Dig deeper into your answers by asking yourself why 5 times. Why are you doing your current job? Why is it important? Why do you care about it? By continuously asking these questions layer by layer, you can find out the fundamental reason for your current job or the job you want to do. Which is your goal? In addition to finding a goal, another way to make work happier is to make friends. Gallup has a survey question. Do you have a best friend at work? This question might sound a bit childish at first, but it actually has depth. Based on people's answers to this question, researchers can predict their happiness levels. Gallup's analysis shows that in the United States, only 1/5 of employees have a best friend at work, and this 1/5 is more than twice as engaged at work as others. Although people often say that you shouldn't give your heart at work, the author disagrees with this view. The author points out that the unhappiest time of day for people is work time, and the happiest time is social time. So we need to engage in some interpersonal activities during work time to mitigate the pain of work. Therefore, the author suggests making more friends at work. How to plan time with happiness as the goal. Okay, up to this point, we have analyzed the concept of time poverty in depth and provided some methods to increase happiness. Next, let's talk about how to plan time and make plans. I believe many of our users have heard a lot of books talking about time management from the perspective of increasing productivity. Today, let's relax a bit and talk about planning time with happiness as the goal. First, let's listen to a story. A professor placed a large clear jar on the lectern and then poured a box of golf balls into it, asking the students, "Is the jar full?" The students saw that the top golf balls had reached the mouth of the jar and nodded, saying, "It's full." The professor then took out some small pebbles and put them into the jar, filling the gaps between the golf balls. The professor asked again, "Is it full now?" The students nodded, saying, "It's full." Then the professor took out a can of fine sand and poured it into the jar, asking again, "What about now? Is it full?" The students nodded, Understanding the professor's point. The jar was truly full this time, and it seemed like the demonstration should end there, but the professor took out 2 bottles of beer. Seeing this, the whole class laughed. The professor poured the beer into the jar and explained to the students, "This jar represents your life. The golf balls represent the important things, such as your family, friends, and health. The pebbles are other important things, such as your career and hobbies. The sand represents other small matters. If you pour the fine sand into the jar first, there will be no room for the golf balls and pebbles. Life is the same. If you spend all your energy and time on small matters, you won't have time for the really important things. You must first put in the most important golf balls, because other than the most important things, everything else is as insignificant as the fine sand." At this point, a student raised his hand and asked, "Professor, what does the beer represent?" The professor smiled and replied, "The beer represents that, no matter how busy your life seems, there's always time to have a few drinks with friends. Our time and the jar are limited, so we need to be wary of the sand trap and spend time on the really important things. There are 2 methods. One is using a goal filter to filter out the sand, clarifying your own goals and spending time on things related to your goals. Some things that are unrelated to our goals should be rejected. People tend to overcommit. When someone asks, "Can you do me a favor? Can you speak at this group meeting? Can you coordinate our activity next month?" We easily agree. Only later do we realize that we are overwhelmed by various trivial matters. Research has investigated people's tendency to overcommit and found that everyone thinks they will have more free time next month than they do now. But this is not the case. We end up committing to more than we can handle because we previously agreed to others' requests. A simple solution is to remember that your time jar has limited space and consider carefully before responding. The other filter is the happiness filter. We have already tracked the things that make us happy, so we should prioritize them when planning time. How to enjoy life. It's simple. Prioritize the things that bring you joy. Happiness is not our instinct. It is an acquired ability to actively manage. Human instinct is survival, not the pursuit of happiness. In the field of behavioral decision-making, most studies teach people how to delay gratification, but some might fall into the opposite dilemma, always sacrificing immediate happiness. Researchers call this the foresight phenomenon, choosing the future at the expense of the present. Choosing an apple as a snack is indeed healthier than chocolate, but if you always choose apples, you will never get to eat chocolate. Thus, happiness is an active choice. We need to actively create happiness for ourselves. Okay, now we can start making our own weekly schedule. On the canvas of the weekly plan, the first step is to arrange fixed activities such as work, commuting, and picking up children from school, which are time-fixed must-do options. The second step, as we mentioned earlier, is to prioritize happy schedules such as scheduling time for your hobbies. In addition, you should also leave some discretionary time for yourself, especially important for parents who need to take care of children. Parents need to help children get dressed in the morning, make breakfast, and take them to school. Some parents might work together, while the author and her husband adopted a method called morning off duty, spreading the mornings of the workweek between them, each responsible for several days, with one person on duty and one off duty each day. The off-duty person's morning is entirely their own, and they should not interfere with the other's way of caring for the child. Having your own time and space is very important. Don't feel guilty about having your own time to yourself. Only after taking care of yourself can you take care of your loved ones. The order of putting on oxygen masks on an airplane is the best example. Before putting masks on children, adults need to put them on themselves first. When you arrange your schedule, there are some tips. One small tip is to split and extend enjoyable activities. People have a tendency to adapt to pleasure. A pleasurable activity has its shelf life, such as when eating cake. The first bite is always the tastiest. Thus, you can split some happy activities and spread them out over different times throughout the week. For example, instead of binge-watching a TV series in one go, you can split it into watching 2 episodes a day. Another small tip is to bundle unpleasant tasks. For tasks you don't like but must do, the strategy is not to split them but to bundle them. Some believe that breaking a difficult task into daily small tasks makes it less difficult. But in fact, it might make you feel troubled about having to start the unpleasant task throughout the week. Considering the cost of getting started, it might be better to complete unpleasant tasks in one concentrated time period. For example, some people fix Saturday morning as their household chore time, completing all chores at once. Compared to doing a bit of housework every day, this method might be more effective. Setting up such a weekly schedule not only allows you to use your time more effectively, but also brings about a key change in mindset, making you realize that you are not living in just this one moment, but in every moment. When you decide to spend an evening working instead of with your family, you might feel guilty. But if you step back and look at your schedule, you might see that you have scheduled some family time in 2 days. The current task does not define who you are. Your time and life have a bigger picture. Setting a weekly plan shifts your focus from whether to do this task to when to do this task. Looking at this canvas, you can clearly see how you allocate your time for work and time with your children. Your canvas is rich and fulfilling. It's hard to cover everything at every moment, but you can scientifically distribute your time over a week. Looking forward to the week ahead with this mindset can reduce your anxiety and guilt. A bad few hours, a bad day, or a bad year will pass, as will a wrong job or a wrong relationship. Afterward, there is still new space on your canvas for new beginnings. Alright, that concludes the sharing of this book. Today we discussed a common feeling, time poverty. The unhappiness in modern life largely comes from not having one's own time. Time poverty is a subjective feeling, so besides making drastic changes to our lives, like quitting jobs, we can adopt milder methods, which are to use our existing time more effectively. On one hand, we can enhance our self-efficacy to boost our confidence in completing all tasks within the time we have. On the other hand, we can track where we usually spend our time and manage our time anew, spending more time on things that make us happy and are meaningful. Faced with tasks that are unhappy and unavoidable, we can also use strategies like outsourcing and bundling happiness to make ourselves less miserable. Specifically, when setting up a weekly schedule, we need to first recognize the limited capacity of our time jar and properly prioritize events using goal and happiness filters. Then we can use some small tips, such as splitting and extending pleasurable activities and bundling unpleasant tasks, to make our week happier. More importantly, you need to realize that you are not living in just this moment but in every moment. As long as you plan your week, month, or even year scientifically and reasonably, you don't need to feel anxious about the present. In the first 90% of this book, the author gives various specific suggestions to help us make our limited time happier. In the final part of the book, the author tries to elevate our perspective, allowing us to observe life from a bird's-eye view. Thinking about life from a global perspective, we can more easily identify what is truly important. For example, one method is to think about the end of life, imagining your own eulogy. What would you like people to remember about you? What goals did you achieve? What did you create? What did you contribute? Considering your own eulogy might make you uncomfortable, but it can help you clarify what you value most, how you want to spend today, tomorrow, and every day after that, helping you live the life you want. Alright, that's the essence of this book. If you like it, you can also click the share button below the video to share with your friends. Congratulations, you've finished another book.